Welcome back to Final Fantasy XIV. Yeah, well, as announced, the Magic DPS role quest will begin today. That begins here with Sarek. Let me guess, you're standing in front of Sarek, bounty hunter non-parallel, because you have a mind to aid me in felling the dread Phronesys. Do I have a right of it, or do I have a right of it? You have a right of it. Willing to throw caution to the wind and strike off to do battle with a nigh indomitable foe, huh? Well, I got a feeling the two of us will get along just fine. Allow me to elaborate. Phronesys isn't just your run-of-the-mill stray sin-eaters. He's one of the nastiest the realm has ever seen, formed from the remains of one of those goddamned warriors of light. There are 4 of them all told. Crawled up from the bowels of the deepest hells after being buried for nigh on a century, if the tales are true. People have come to call them the Cardinal Virtues. Before he was transformed into a sin-eater, Phronesys was none other than archmage Nyelbert, whose baleful magics were feared the realm over. Though it's only been a few short years since he first showed up in Armoring, he's already preyed on far too many innocents with his foul sorcery. Not keen on seeing their trade routes disrupted, the local merchants have placed a healthy bounty on his head. Cause I'd like nothing more than to fell the fiend single-handed and claim the entire bounty for myself. Unfortunately, circumstances have dictated that I recruit a companion. That's where you come in. Provided that you can prove to me that you possess the rather, a specialized set of skills I require, I promise I'll make it worth your while. Not a bad offer, wouldn't you say? If you fancy yourself up to the task, come find me in Armoring. I mean to set off for there shortly. So he came. It's good to see someone who isn't all talk. As fortune would have it, another sin-eater, a far less imposing specimen than Phronesys, of course, has been sighted just to the west of here. Prove to me you have the skills to back up your words, and we'll talk further. Ah, cowardice. Time for you to die. Satisfied? Good show, friend. I wasn't sure what to expect from you, but seeing you in battle has left me with little doubt. It seems I found myself a formidable ally. And so I'll extend the offer in earnest. Help me hunt down Phronesys, and we'll split the bounty down the middle. Well, what do you say? That's the spirit. Now there's more you should know before we proceed. Come with me to Mortsuk, my base of operations, and I'll fill you in on the details. Welcome to Mortsuk, friend. As you can see, it's a bustling trading post frequented by merchants from across the realm. At least it was before Phronesys showed up and started preying on unwitting travelers. Hence the bounty, you see. The lucrative reward has attracted the attention of one capable bounty hunter after the next. Yet the fiend still roams free. You can probably imagine why. Those few who have seen Phronesys and return to tell the tale speak of the great horrors they witnessed. Cavernous black holes materializing out of thin air, swallowing everything around them into the abyss. People have taken to calling them the Hollows. Rumor has it that one barely has time to lay eyes on Phronesys before he summons forth the Hollows, which proceed to consume everything in sight. And I do mean everything. Just the other day an entire caravan was devoured by the Hollows, leaving only nothingness behind. Mages have postulated that these holes are literally tears in the fabric of our reality. Gateways to other worlds, to put it another way. At any rate, suffice to say that the next man to come back from the void will be the first. And yet there's something odd about it all. Witnesses say that Phronesys seemed to go out of his way to prey on people or settlements. He simply shambles across the wastes, summoning hollows one after the next. Destruction follows as a matter of course. Needless to say, drawing too near to the fiend is tantamount to suicide. Even attacks from afar have been all but futile, as Phronesys simply summons the hollows to consume any incoming arrow. With every conceivable means of attack foiled, even the most savvy bounty hunters have all but thrown up their heads. Even though the bounty now stands at some 9 or 10-fold the original amount. I'm of a different mind, however. The way I see it, if there were a way to neutralize the hollows, we'd more than stand a chance against Phronesys himself. That's why I require your services. Your easy trump over the Sin Eater spoke clear. You are a mage of no common skill. If anyone has the arcane knowledge and aptitude to help me figure out a way to defend against the hollows, it's you. Don't worry, I fully intend to shoulder my share of the burden, and so I plan to gather all the information we need before asking you to put yourself in harm's way. And with that, I'd best get to work. Once I've formulated a proper plan of attack, we'll talk again. Until then, I suggest you continue to own your casting skills. The battle that awaits us will not be an easy one. About that plan? Ah, there you are, and your timing couldn't be better. As luck would have it, a little bird told me that Phronesys was sighted in the vicinity not long ago. Don't you worry, I have no intention of rushing in like a fool. My plan is to shadow the Sin Eater from afar, that we might observe the hollows with our own eyes and formulate a suitable plan of attack. To that end, I procured this mannequin here from a merchant acquaintance of mine at the Crystarium. By setting it on Phronesys' tail, I mean to gauge just how wide of a berth we must keep from a fiend as to not be sucked up into the void. Shed no tears for the little fellow, friend. His sacrifice will be the key to our success. And yet, as you can see, he is not quite in the best state of repair. Pray lend me a hand in procuring what we need to get him back on with his feet. You're a lifesaver, friend. I've just spotted nasty-looking sand-skin Sibylle lurking about to the east of here, and I do believe one of attendants should serve well to put some spring back into the little fellow's step. Snack one for me, and I'll see to the repairs. Any luck finding the tendon? For my part, I've acquired something that should serve as a makeshift gear. It cost me an arm and a leg, but hey, if it helps us claim that bounty in the end, it'll be more than worth it. Perfect. Yes, I reckon this is durable and elastic enough to replace the mannequin's snapped drive belt. I'll fetch my toolbox and get started straight away. In the meantime, why don't you scout us out a suitable lookout point? Phronesys was last sighted just southeast of town. Try to find us a spot on higher ground, out of sight from the main thoroughfare. Okay, so this is out of the way. Oh, my friend, as you can see, our clockwork friend is back in tip-top shape. And since it appears you've found us the perfect lookout spot, why don't we get down to work? I kindle us a fire. We might be here for a while. Okay. Well, I'll be. Where's the bastard? Look closely now and hold your gaze. You must witness the sheer horror with your own 2 eyes. No, we mustn't send out the mannequin too soon. If Phronesys sees it, he may very well blast it to bits before it has a chance to investigate the hollows. And there he goes. I sent the mannequin in to trail him. Let's sit back and enjoy the show. Whoop. Just as I expected, gone without a trace. Shed no tear for our little friend. Through his sacrifice we now know just how much distance we must keep from the hollows to avoid being sucked into the void. Now it's our turn. Let's edge a bit closer and see what we can observe. Mind you, take care not to wander too close, lest you fancy a vacation to a dark, shadowy abyss. It's as if a shadowy whirlwind rages inside, ready to suck anything and everything into the void. I've seen many a horrific sight in my day, but this sends a shiver up the spine. Let me out. It's so dark in here. Huh? Why the pale face, friend? You look as if you've seen a ghost. I just heard a child's voice from in there. A voice, you say? From inside the hollow? But that's impossible. Is anyone out there? Please, help me. Help me get out of here. Over here. Was that a voice? Is someone out there? If you can hear me, please, you must help me. I can't see anything. No road, no trees, not even an ether current to follow. Which way do I go? How do I get out of this place? That voice, what in the God's name is it saying? The voice of a boy, you say, claims he's lost inside with no ether current to follow. Sounds like he's adrift in the flow, not unlike what would happen if an aetherwite to which one was teleporting was destroyed mid-journey. Wait a minute, what if there were some way you could channel your aether into the void? Might that not allow your etheric form to serve as a beacon of sorts, to guide the child back to us? Cause, not that I know how we'd go about that. I can do that? You reckon you could do just that? I won't even think of asking how. Do your damnest. Wicked White, I knew you were no ordinary sinner, but even still you find ways to surprise me. And the hollow collapses. Where am I? Well, I'll be damned. There was a child inside. Our little expedition has left us with more questions than answers, huh? But for now, this boy needs our care. Let us carry him back to Mortsuk and find him a warm bed and some nourishment. boy is resting now. He's weak but not wounded, at least as far as I can tell. Needless to say, his presence raises questions. Are there others trapped on the other side of the hollows? If so, might they also be returned to our world alive? There's much we must ask him when he awakens. On another subject, this might be an odd question, but have you ever looked after a child before? Do you think? That makes for two of us. Bounty hunters like me don't get much opportunity for babysitting. Still, until we can track down the boy's parents, I suppose I have little choice but to look after him myself. I suppose the first order of the day should be to get some food in his belly. He does look terribly pale after all. He thinks I go hunting for some meat. No, perhaps I should take him to a physician first? After all, he may be suffering from some ailment inscrutable to the eye. Or maybe I should... damn it all, I knew I wasn't cut out for this. Ah, there you are. You'll be happy to know that the boy is awake and seems to be no worse for wear. Physically speaking, at least. There's just one rub, you see. He has no recollection of where he came from or just how he managed to get swallowed up into the void. In fact, other than his own name, Tainer, he can't remember much of anything at all. He seems a good lad, mind you. Eats my half-assed cooking with a smile and nary a word of complaint. Yet I reckon he's hurting inside and badly. We must reunite him with his parents with all due speed. I suggested that he go for a stroll around Mount Sook, in the hope that the sight might help jog his memories. He can't have wandered far. Why don't you go check up on him? Do not tell me, you're the one who rescued me from a flow, yes? I feel from you the same warmth that reached out to me when I was adrift in the ether. Well, I'll be damned, the boy's a sharp one. And that's not the least of it. The carer who examined him said they could feel great power welling up from inside him. Despite his young age, Tainer here seems to possess a remarkable command of the magical arts. Perhaps I do, and yet... I cannot say. Try as I might, I cannot recall anything of who I am or where I came from. Only the darkness. No need for apologies, boy. You did well just to make it back to us. Speaking of which, can you remember anything at all of what you felt when you were adrift in the void? That I remember, or at least I think I do. I recall a vague sensation of someone passing alongside me. Indeed, I believe that this was roused before my slumber. If the hollows truly are a gate between worlds, it would mean that someone recently traveled from ours to another, or from another to ours, but that's not possible, or is it? You'd be surprised. Because I did that, for example. You know something I don't, friend? Why not? I won't pry for details. Ah well, no sense racking our brains over matters beyond our comprehension. Let's concentrate on what we can do, namely finding the boy here a home. No doubt his memories will come back to him in due time. You truly do that? For me? But the two of you have already saved my life. I couldn't possibly burden you any further. It's no burden at all. Besides, if we can figure out just who you are and where you came from, it just might lead us to answers we seek. Now, let's consider the options. One possibility is that you're an orphan, all alone in this world, with not a soul to care for or look after you. And yet that seems unlikely. Yes, the mystical powers you possess say otherwise. If you are truly as skilled in magic as they say, then it stands to reason that someone trained you in the art. Who this master of yours is and whether you are of their blood or simply receive their tutelage, This I cannot say, but either way I'm certain they are worried sick about you. If that is truly so, I would very much like to meet this person too. Let's settle it then. Let's get down to business. I took the liberty of inquiring around Mordsuk and the Crystarium. Unfortunately, there have been no reports of missing persons matching Tainer's description, which means that we have no choice but to take our search elsewhere. I know of a merchant in town whose travels often take him far afield. Let us have a talk with him and see if he's heard any helpful rumors. Speak with a savvy merchant. Rumors of a missing boy, you say? Funny you ask. It's a long shot, I reckon, but I overheard something the other day that might be of use. On my way to Mordsuk, I stopped over at the Inn of Journey's Head. There I met an ailing mage. As the carer told it, he's been ambushed by a sin-eater and was separated from his child in the battle. Bloody else could it be? If a sin-eater has attacked the poor man was Phronesys, that would explain everything. This man you speak of, he could be my father? We must go to him at once. Agreed. I only hope that the man is... no, there's no point in presuming the worst. Let us make for the inn and see what the carers there can tell us. The man was in rough shape, I fear. For the child's sake, I hope he's doing better than when I last saw him. Oh there, I hear there's a mage in your care who's lost his boy. Well, I do believe we have him right here. I fear there must be some mistake. The boy in question has already been found. This is him here, right here. What? So it wasn't my father after all. The boy with you, he too has been separated from his family? Just so, we heard that the man he was looking for a son and we just hoped. Alas, it seems it wasn't meant to be. But there are many people here, yes? Might I ask around and see if any of the others are my family? But of course, yet many of the people here are quite ill and in many cases in considerable pain. It is not a place for a young child to walk around unattended. Indeed it's not. Yes, that means either myself or Serenia here should accompany him. I'll go with him. The walk might help me take my mind off things. Not a bad idea if a lad doesn't mind. I reckon Tainer would rather be with someone of his own age. Taking his mind off things? Speaking of which, how is the boy's father holding up? I fear the poor man has already departed on his journey. He's a man no longer. Eater corruption. The child insisted upon staying by his father's side until the last. I permitted this out of respect for him, though part of me regrets the choice. None so young should suffer such horrors. It was some small solace to learn that he has living relatives who reside at the Crystarium. In fact, I was just making preparations to escort him there myself. I see. I reckon we should also find someone to look after Tainer as well. Don't get me wrong, friend, I haven't given up on the prospect of finding the boy's family, but we have no other leads, and the deadly Sin Eater is still on the loose. If a lad tags along with us every step of the way, he's far more likely to end up dead or worse whenever reunite with his family. Here's what I propose. We find someone to watch after Taina for the time being. Get back on the hunt and gather whatever clues we can about his origins along the way. Very well, but you must see that he's safe. Aye, that goes without saying. Let us have a talk with the proprietor of the Wandering Stairs. He's a kindly enough chap, and knows damn near everyone in these parts. With any luck, he'll be able to direct us to a willing and able guardian. Look, I don't like this any more than you do, but it's the best we can do for the boy given our circumstances. At any rate, let's find him and share the news. Don't worry, it's my decision and I intend to take responsibility for it. Forgive me, my friends, I wish there was more I could do for the child, but our resources are already stretched terribly thin. I wish you luck in finding his family. Bad news, friend. It seems the two young ones got into a quarrel of sort and Taina up and ran away. Seems the lad mentioned how he'd come out from one of the hollows. The other boy put 2 and 2 together and figured he'd been attacked by a Sin Eater. Then I said, my dad was attacked by a Sin Eater and then he turned into one himself, so I asked what if he turned into a Sin Eater too? Taina's face went all white. He kept saying, what do you mean? What do you mean? Over and over and over again. I couldn't take it anymore. Before I knew it, I was just shouting at him, shut up, just shut up, I bet you're turning to a Sin Eater already. Why? Why did I say such a mean and nasty thing? Don't be so hard on yourself, lad. Both of you had a rough go at it for these past few days. Nobody could blame either one of you for feeling a bit on edge. But we must hurry and find Taina before he comes to harm. Let's split up. I search to the west, you to the east. And be careful out there. And where are the eaters? When I heard the clamor of battle, I feared the worst, but I see that you have everything under control. Are you okay, lad? Forgive me. I don't deserve this kindness. I was just so scared. I was worried about what would become of me if I never recovered my memories. And then I started thinking, what if I ended up like the boy's father? What if it's already happening to me? That's one matter you needn't worry yourself with. The carer who examined you told me as much. You suffered no direct wounds. You are in no more danger of turning to a Sin Eater than Serenia or me. Is that so? That's good to hear, but I must apologize to that boy. I should have known better than to badger him with such things, especially after what happened to his father. Funny thing that he was saying the same thing about you. We both have good hearts, lad, and you've been through more than any man should. There's no need to be ashamed about your feelings. There's still so much I do not understand about this world. Why does no one here know of me? Am I doomed to be alone for the rest of my days? Why must it be this way? If only I could remember something, anything. I'm sick of not knowing who I am. I'm sick of being alone. Echo. Now it's your turn, Taina, and do not be disheartened by your last attempt. Even the greatest of mages have known failure. Your magic is equal of my own. If I can succeed, there's no reason why you cannot. Free your mind of worry and focus. Thank you, Nyelbert. I shall try my best. Wait, that's Nyelbert? A lot younger. Wicked White, are you alright, Serenia? I remember now. I was standing here in these blighted plains. My head hung low in shame. Then Nyelbert turned on me with a smile and heartening words. Nyelbert? Why does the name sound so familiar? I reckon we have much to discuss, but not in this godforsaken place. Let's head back to the inn and see if we can't get to the bottom of this. So he was likely lost in the hollow for quite some time when he knew Nyelbert as a young one, as an apprentice. Taina, are you alright? I'm so sorry, I shouldn't have said those nasty things. Forgive me for reacting as I did. I'm fine. In fact, I seem to have recovered some of my memories. Really? That's wonderful. Maybe you won't feel so scared and alone anymore. I'm leaving to go live in the crystarium with my relatives. Promise me you'll come visit? I mean, after you get your memories back and all, of course? I promised. Until next time, my friend. I knew that you two would make things work out. Now, let's return to Motsuk. We have more than our share of questions that need answering. As I saw it, first you fainted all of a sudden. When you came back, a portion of Taina's memories had returned. What in the world happened out there? Explaining the echo. The power to look into the past, huh? And you're certain that what Serenia's described matches up with your recollection of the past? I don't know how to break this to you, lad, but your friend Nyelbert that was with you that day? He's no ordinary boy. He's none other than the very man who became Phronesys, man of those goddamned warriors of light. If he was just a young child in your memories, that means that what you saw took place over 100 years ago. Would that it were just a coincidence, another boy with the same name, but judging from the formidable command of magic, we can only assume it was him. On the way back I managed to recall some more about Nyelbert and myself. We were taken by a group of mages, a consortium of sort. They were searching for a means to open a hole to another world, and were recruiting young children with high magical aptitude for the task. Nyelbert and myself were the two they chose. You can't be serious, and yet that would explain the Sin Eater's ability to summon those damned hollows. And if you possess the same knowledge and training as Nyelbert did, it could also explain why you were able to survive in there all that time. But what I don't understand is, why haven't you aged at all? I cannot say for certain, and yet my memories? They're slowly coming back to me. In time I may be able to help you find a way to close the hollows. You'd be a lifesaver if you could, but don't overburden yourself. You're still recovering after all. In the meantime, don't worry, Serenia and I will see that you're safe. I'd thought Tainer was just a victim of a Sin Eater. To think he was actually friends with a man himself, back when he was still a man? This can't be simple coincidence. Yes, I'm convinced of it now. The child holds the key to defeating Phronesys. We must keep him safe and not let him out of our sights. Besides, look at how hard he's trying to recover his memories. I'm not so heartless as to kick the poor lad aside before he's figured matters out. But we can't very well rush things. You and I will continue to prepare for the battle ahead, while waiting for the rest of Tainer's memories to come back to him. And that's to say, if that's alright with you, lad? So sorry, I couldn't possibly burden you any further. Look, lad, I've only known you for a short while, but I can tell you have a good heart, and a good head on your shoulders. I can only begin to imagine the horrors you've been through, not to mention the fears and uncertainty you face even now. But I want you to promise me this. No more apologies. You're no burden to us, not in the least. You are a valuable member of our band, and as long as you're willing, I want you with us. Isn't that right, Serenia? I see. Thank you, Sarek. Thank you, Serenia. I will aid your quest in whatever way I can. Now that's more like it. We're counting on you, lad. Okay, this episode went pretty long, so I think I end it here and we continue next time. Until then, I'm Mace, and don't get lost.